Welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, a show needs an intro. This is that intro. Fisher in the foreground, Sam in the back. I had tater tots for breakfast. I can do that because I'm an adult. Welcome to the Wake.Show. Man, I even practiced that all morning long. And I screwed it up. I practiced it all morning long, screwed it up. How you doing this morning, Sam?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Roxy, Joey? You guys looking cute as ever? Hey, Elliot, Danielle, Kane, Robert, my wife, Lauren. Good morning, Jeremy. And speaking of my dogs, so this is what's up on Instagram right now on the new Wake, the Wake.Pups.
The Wake period pups.
The Wake period pups. And that is Roxy this morning in the bath.
Goodness.
I don't know if you guys are going to get a good shot of that or not. I mean, I don't know how it's going to come out on your screen. Here, I'll see if I can.
All the more reason to go to their Instagram page.
Yep, that's right. And you see Joey in the back. So that's Roxy in the foreground. Joey in the back. That's my hairy legs in between them. Sorry that I drew attention to that. But we woke up this morning, and what'd she say? What'd she write? She writes, by she, I mean Roxy, of course.
Roxy, yes.
Roxy. She goes, Mom and Dad just woke up today and decided to try to drown us. This is not the first time either. Every couple weeks. Hold on, I got to click more. Because Roxy is hilarious. Every couple weeks, they cover up our good smells with wet perfume, and it's so unfair. Hashtag office dogs, Yorkies of Instagram. That's from look at that face.
I love it.
She's like, you're not going to put on shorts? You're not going to put on swimming trunks? I'm like, honey, I'm taking a shower too. I think you can get a fancy angle so we don't have to gross anybody else this morning. Good morning, Robert. And everybody, I don't even know where Robert is these days. I'm going to say back in my hometown in Central Florida, Ocoee, Orlando, Winter Garden area, but who knows these days? Robert could be on the other side of the world. Welcome to the Wake.Show. This is a Monday through Friday, 11:11 in theory to 12:12. I don't do a good job being on time, and I apologize for that. Although I feel like I shouldn't apologize, because I think when you apologize for stuff like that, then you should make sure it doesn't happen again. But I know it's going to happen again, and I'm so I'm not going to apologize.
It's all good.
One day I'll get some structure. I don't know how, when, but one day I'll be. No, it's not going to happen. You either get whooped into this kind of shit, in this kind of discipline when at a younger age, or it's lost on you forever. We'll figure it as go. Joey Fox, how you doing, man? Life is good. We are broadcasting from Bake More Pies in Tampa, Florida. We'll get to stuff you should know here in a little bit, and I got a few stories to hit. Also coming up at 12 o'clock today, we'll talk nutrition with Eric Stratman from the Next Level Nutrition coaching, and then but first, because I'm already late with you, Sam. We got to get to On This Day.
Yes, let's do it.
And Sam will have her quote of the day coming up here shortly. On this day in history, we go to history.com. We make it very simple. And it was on this day, their headline on this day in 1979, there was a nuclear accident at 3 Mile Island. On this day in 1941, land cleared for Ford's Willow Run plant. Well, I don't know what that does. It was because cars were invented long before that. What was this about? On this day, workers started clearing trees from hundreds of acres and lands in Michigan, some 30 miles west of Detroit, in preparation for the construction of the Ford Motor Company's Willow Run plant, which will use Henry Ford's mass production technology to build. They weren't building cars on this one with this plant. This was they were gearing up for the war and building B-24 bomber planes for World War II. During the war, Detroit was dubbed the Arsenal of Democracy. Well, poor Detroit. They sure have, they need to work on their branding. Because the only branding that stuck with me when it's concerning Detroit over the last, thanks, Joey, over the last, I don't know, however many years, is that the Coyotes are running the streets. And I know that's probably just one story I saw back in 2013, and so that's what stuck with me, is that's what Detroit is now. It's just overrun with coyotes. All right, let's see what else on this day. Reason we do On This Day, everybody, is because it helps put things in perspective. We like to get a little worked up. We like to get worked up a little bit when it comes to the news of the day, which I completely understand. It's easy to get worked up about a lot of different things. But when you go through on this day, it helps, keep things in perspective. So the news of the day, you just kind of remember that one day this will be an on this day event, and life will have moved on. The world will have moved on. Everything's likely going to be okay, and we can go and get worried about the more important things, like getting your kid through school without getting shot. Wait, hold on. I don't think that was the example I really wanted to go for there. Next up, 1814 funeral held for the man behind the guillotine.
I know. Interesting.
I hope this is like a 21 gun salute, but with guillotines. Guillotines. The funeral of guillotine. The inventor of and the namesake of the infamous execution device takes place outside Paris, France. Guillotine had what he felt were the purest motives for inventing the guillotine and was deeply distressed at how his reputation had become besmirched. Well, I want to learn more about this. And I know he's like the K-Cup guy. I don't know. This is what I'm thinking right now. He's like the K-Cup guy. You know the K-Cups, right?
Yeah.
You know his regret?
No.
So the guy that invented this whole thing, and he's rich, after he created this, he stepped back and went, oh, shit, what have I done? And because he realized that he just created more waste. He really didn't help out the world. He just made it easier for some people to get some coffee and created a lot of plastic waste that was unnecessary. So that sent him into a depression. Next thing you know, he built his own guillotine. Actually, I don't know. I think he's doing fine now.
Okay,
Back to the story. So guillotine had bestowed the deadly contraption on the French as a philanthropic gesture for the systematic criminal justice reform that was taking place in 1789. The machine was intended to show the intellectual and social progress of the revolution by killing aristocrats and journeymen the same way. Equality in death was ensured. So the guillotine wasn't just some crazy invention of some whack job psycho. This guy thought that this was a sign of modernity, of we're being more civilized because we are going to kill the kings and queens, the aristocrats, and the common man the same way in a very quick. Because I would imagine if you say things went south, Sam, and they're giving you your choice, you're like, hey, that's something you shouldn't have done, so we're going to have to execute you. Mm-hmm. How are you going out? You going out by lethal injection, by electric chair, somebody shooting, a firing squad, a guillotine? How would you prefer? Somebody just drowning, just holding your head in the toilet until you stop moving?
Is that the new one, the new option?
Just throwing things out there.
Oh man, I watched
because guillotine. I'm thinking guillotine is the way to go.
I don't. Do any states even do that anymore? Realistically, I don't think that they do. I think that it's just electrocution. No, I know. Well, I watched this documentary a little bit ago, like a couple years ago, on the different ways. But I think that aside from electrocution and lethal injection, I think those might be the last two left. Firing squad, I think, might be in like one state. I'm not sure.
Is the guillotine available legally?
Is there a guillotine available for me?
Is the guillotine available in the United States? Can you find a state?
27 of the 36 states that currently provide for capital punishment require execution by lethal injection as the sole method.
So we will click there and see what we find out.
See.
Hey, welcome to Death Talk today on
hanging. Yeah, I don't think hanging's one anymore. That's what it was. It wasn't guillotine. It was hanging.
All right, so I guess guillotine's not an option.
Unfortunately,
do we think
not.
Is it too gruesome? Does it seem too gruesome? Because to me, it seems like the least painful. Your head just comes right off. They do say, I guess there is some ticks. A couple of ticks left.
Gas chamber is supposed to be like pretty.
Pretty what?
I can't remember if it's supposed to be like really painful or not painful at all because it just shuts down your organs.
And some people don't care. They're like, who cares? These people did horrendous things to the point that we think that we should take them off the planet. So F them, let them feel the same fears and pain that they've inflicted on other people. But I'm with the side of those, even like Guillotine, who thought he was doing a good thing, and of no, we're better than that. That's why we're doing this. We're better than that person that mowed down a family, that killed a cop, that that walked into a school and shot up the place. We're better than this. Is what we're trying. I think anyway.
A lot of people don't have a choice anymore. It's mostly lethal injection now. I don't think you can choose really anymore.
And I like that we try to do this as humane as possible. Now, some of you might go, that's all well and good, but what if it happened to you? Would you feel the same way? No, I wouldn't feel the same way. Kind of how it
works, yeah.
That's why we don't allow people who are related to the victim in the crime, the who got murdered. They're not the ones sitting in the jury box. All right?
Yeah.
But do I understand? I think the inventor of the device was the first one to be executed with it. It doesn't seem like, I'll look it up, Cords, but I think that's he's the history buff, so let me see. Let me see here. Who was the first person executed?
Oh, there it is, by the guillotine.
By the guillotine. Nope. It was Nicholas Jacques Pelletier.
Ooh, what did he do?
In 1792, a convicted felon became the first person executed by the guillotine. While the guillotine became known as a ruthlessly efficient killing machine, it's...
there he is. He's the first guy in the list. It's Joseph Guillotine is the picture. It says people also search for. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, that's him there. So this is Guillotine right here. I don't really get off on this. Oh, yeah, on this day. Let me get back to on this day. Enough searching.
That's crazy.
All right, so right here, the verse guillotine was on April 25th, 1792, when Nicholas Pelletier, I don't know, was put to death for armed robbery and assault. Holy smokes, they didn't F around back then. That sounds like some President Duterte stuff from the Philippines, if you don't know. The newspaper reported the guillotine was not an immediate sensation. The crowd seemed to miss the gallows at first. Jesus. Oh,
it became a
civilized humans. A civilized humans. I see that. Maybe that's my problem. Is I'm trying to give us too much credit.
I was going to say, if this was something now, do I genuinely believe that people wouldn't be out there watching in a town square?
Yes, they would.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah. It's not like we're going back 50,000 years. It would be
all over Snapchat.
Right. So people at first were disappointed because they liked the gallows. They liked the jerking around, the lurching, and the twitching. It just, it took so much out of the fun of watching people die in the late 1700s. Jeez. So the newspapers reported the guillotine was not an immediate sensation. The crowd seemed to miss the gallows at first. However, it quickly caught on with the public, and many thought it brought dignity back to the executioner. However, the prestige of the guillotine fell precipitously due to its free... Whew. By the way, I'd like to stop and give myself credit on that word. Precipitous. Damn it, I should, I should have quit while I was ahead. Just kept moving on.
You know what's crazy?
What?
The brain stays alive after you get decapitated, so... Yep. That's crazy. I couldn't remember the figure, so I just Googled it, but it's 12 seconds that your brain can stay oxygenated.
Yeah, it's not a, I guess it's,
that's crazy.
It takes a while to break down. The death is not immediate. I think if the best way to go, if you were trying to be as immediate and feel, would be that shot right in the back of the head. That's at the top of the spine, the bottom of the skull. Shot
by like an injection or shot by a gun?
Boom, a gun right there.
Oh, okay.
I'd want, all right, so here's my choices, Sam. If things go horribly south and I'm on death row.
All right.
Guillotine.
I'll take note.
If that's not available, then I want for, to shake, let's make a little target back here.
Okay.
And then let some professional snipers go for a record. Go for a record kill.
Oh my God!
So put me 2 miles away, and let a couple of them. They have their own bullets, so they know which one actually. Because if they miss, I don't want them to miss too much. You take an ear, and I'm like, what the f? And the next thing chunks of my head are falling off.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it's
Well, I'll call up some snipers, and I'll ask them if they could get this done, and if not, I'll see who can make a guillotine.
That could be an urban myth. It looks like it. He became nearly headless Nick later on in life, for those of you that are Harry Potter fans. Thank you, Elliot. It's nice to see your name up here. All right, what else? What else do we have today?
Let's see. Spanish Civil War ends.
All right, 1939. Eisenhower dies on this day in 1969.
First American citizen killed during World War I.
Ooh, World War 1915. On this day in 1915, the first American citizen was killed in an 8-month-old European conflict that would become known as the First World War.
Crazy.
Leon Thrasher. Leon Thrasher, a 31-year-old mining engineer and native of Massachusetts, drowned when a German submarine, the U-28, torpedoed the cargo passenger ship Falaba on its way from Liverpool to West Africa off the coast of England. Of the 242 passengers and crew on board, 104 drowned. Thrasher, who was employed on the Gold Coast in British West Africa, was returning to his post there from England as a passenger on the ship.
Crazy.
So, okay, so he wasn't a soldier fighting at that time, but he was heading to his post, I guess, in the beginning of World War I, and met his demise. All right, anything else?
Scroll down.
What is this? Now I'm back at the top. You see the British Parliament adopts the Coercive Acts.
Okay.
I don't know. It's caught my attention. I have to click on it. Upset by the Boston Tea Party and other blatant acts of destruction of British property by American colonists, the British Parliament enacted
was this like the Stamp Act and everything? I'm not sure if it is. The Boston Port Act. There's 4 of them.
To outrage the American patriots on this day in 1774. A series of 4 acts established by...
It might not be.
The aim of legislation was to restore order in Massachusetts and punish Bostonians for their Tea Party, in which members of the revolutionary-minded Sons of Liberty boarded 3 British tea ships in Boston Harbor and dumped 342 crates. That's a good trivia question right there. How many crates of tea did they dump in?
Cord's better. Keep it. Write it down.
340. He already knew it.
He already knows.
He probably knows what the kinds of tea, too. That were nearly $1 million worth of today's money into the water to protest the Tea Act. So the Tea Act was already on the books, it looks like. Oh, that's right, because that's why they protested. So afterwards, they had these other acts to try to get order there in Boston.
Oh, okay.
Tried. That's even hilarious now, 250 years later. Try to get order in Boston. And I think that is probably it then. Oh, this is see, I understand why this missed your eye right here, but this was huge. Huge. Back in 1984 when you were negative 12 years old, Sam.
Of course.
When the Baltimore Colts moved to Indianapolis. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Why it was a huge deal? Because they did it like in the middle of the night, if I remember correctly, because I was only 11 at the time. Owner on this day, Bob Irsay, owner of the once mighty Baltimore Colts, moves the team to Indianapolis without any sort of public announcement. He hired movers to pack up the team's offices in Maryland in the middle of the night while the city slept.
That's weird. That is really weird.
He gained control of the Colts in 72 when he essentially traded his ownership of the Los Angeles Rams with Carl Rosenblum, then the owner of the Colts franchise. The Colts, led by quarterback Johnny Unitas, halfback Lenny Moore, and defensive lineman Gino Marchetti and Art Donovan, had been the best team in the NFL since the late 50s and had come to embody the working class spirit of Baltimore. The players lived among the fans, worked alongside the fans in the offseason, and performed with evident pride in their adopted city. It wasn't until this guy, Irsay, purchased the team that the franchise began its downward spiral. And so, yeah, I remember, like I said, I was only 11 years old, but I remember that was huge, huge news. Also, my dad is a sports nut, so this would have been something that definitely was the pinging his radar back then.
That's funny.
But, yeah, and people were just outraged. They could not believe it because of what that team meant to that city. And, for people like this, they think like owners. They don't think like normal people. They don't think like employees. They think like owners. And so he could give 2 shits and just picked up the team and left, made a better deal for himself and got the hell out of Dodge. I don't know, maybe he did. Maybe it was the right thing to do. Maybe had he tried to announce it and go, use the proper channels and whatnot, or do things above board and let everybody know, because I don't think anything that he did was illegal, that maybe they would have dragged him to Indianapolis and, and he would have never made it there. So I don't know. So, yeah, that was a big one. On this day in history, thank you so much for On This Day in History. So, Sam's quote of the day today.
Yes. So the quote of the day today is, "Of all possessions, a friend is the most precious." By Herodotus.
That's a little, out of all possessions, a friend is most what?
Precious.
Yeah.
Cute.
Are you a good friend? Do you have a tight group of friends that you grew up with?
Yeah, I have friends from my hometown that I still see and I still hang out with. But we all have gone on to different schools, and we're kind of just trying to figure out the career and adult life now. So
I was talking to my buddy Ray, so I see he's just joined Ray Cordero, who's over at Ducky's now on Kennedy. We were chatting yesterday, and I was asking him about loyalty because he's from Brooklyn. And we're about the same age, I think. And we're similar in a lot of ways, but also raised differently in many ways. And so we were talking about loyalty because I feel like I'm not loyal. Well, I'm loyal on a very fundamental level. Like, and this is what I told him. I said, I consider so many people my friends. I consider so many people close to me, but I never keep in touch with them. I can go years without talking to people and still consider them one of my closest confidants, right? They probably don't know that. And I go, my loyalty is to like everybody, but I feel like that's not the way loyalty works. And so, like, for you, I'd be there for you. I'd go visit you in prison, right?
Thanks.
But if, say, somebody that I was really good friends with that you hated, right? That you're like, no, that person is this and this and they did this to me. I feel like that you have to pick sides, and I've never been that good at that. That is not my personality. I hate that kind of stuff, but I feel like that I'm weird in that category. Like, for instance, this is what Ray said. Ray's like, here's what loyalty means. It means that your boys, for this way he's talking, it means that your boys, somebody comes, say your boy does something wrong, right? And he deserves an ass whooping. That's all well and good, but those guys aren't giving my boy that ass whooping. We're going to defend you. Come to our street, or you come into, looking for him. We're going to get his back, even though he deserves that ass whooping. Then after, the fight is over, or they leave, or whatever it is, if we have to deal with our friend, we'll deal with our friend as a friend. So that's to me in my head, man, I've that's always been a quandary. It's always been I can't pick a side. It's like I have to take even if you're my best friend, you'll be my wife, my brother. But if somebody comes to me and says this happened, I can take somebody else's side that I don't even know, a stranger's side, going, hey, listen, man, that was effed up. You deserve your ass whooping, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, but I also don't, for whatever reason, I have not done a good job, or I'm just not a good friend. I'm not good at keeping in touch, and every time I go to feel like I'm going to go call somebody or need to catch up, like an anxiety shuts me down. Like I feel like I'm bothering them and stuff like that. So I got all kinds of issues. But
luckily,
that's right. Luckily, I'm excited. In case you don't know, I'm going back to therapy starting tomorrow. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Very excited about that. As I hear my family cheering as well. And that's I thought
that wasn't a condescending cheer, though. That was like you seem excited about it, so I'm excited for you.
I am excited about it. We got to talk about some anxiety, depression, maybe a splash of anger, and see if there's a couple other things.
A little splash, a little dash and a hint.
Yeah, but when you do reach,
you got to call Eric, by the way.
Okay, all right. We're coming up on noon. We'll punch in. Eric. So yeah, but when you do reach out, there's a lot to talk about. That is true too. That is true. Ray just brought up, I might not be somebody who keeps in touch, but like yesterday, we sat down and we chatted and, caught up over, 2 hours or so. So we'll talk a little nutrition and health coming up in a couple minutes with Eric Stratman from TNL Nutrition Coaching. But before we get to, is that it for you then?
Yeah, that's it for me today.
All right, Sam, thank you so much for all that you do. Have a wonderful day. All right, and there we go. Now the camera's on the dogs as they watch you leave the room. Please take us with you.
Oh, they'll come out when it's time for lunch, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Poor Roxy. She was just itching all morning.
Oh,
Aw. Aw. Whoops. There we go. You guys, you only have like another 15 minutes, guys, and we'll take a lap. Don't you worry. Get there. All right. We'll move on with stuff you should know coming up after we bring in Eric. Let's give it a go. Let's see if he's right by his Facebook. Or, yeah, his Facebook. Right on time. Right on time. Maybe. We'll see. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. Hey, JoJo. Hello. I know you're there. I know we're connected. I can tell.
Yo.
Hello, my friend. Hello.
We made it.
I've just called to let you know. Let's see. Let's do a little bit of this. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on?
Did I catch you at a bad time? Are you heading to McDonald's? There we go. Oh, wait. I lost you. Wait. It's all right.
You were breaking up.
That's all right. That's all right. So, good morning. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning. Good noon.
Good noon. Oh, that's right. It's noontime.
There we go. We're good now.
All right. So what are you up to? Where are you driving off to? Don't be listening. If I caught you at a bad time, man. Hello, check. What the? Yeah, you're breaking up again.
It should resolve. There we go. Breaking out of that Wi-Fi zone.
Oh, I see. I see.
How you doing? All right, man. Sorry I missed you last week.
That is okay. That is all my fault. You're a very busy man, which is good for you. Welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
Good.
Well, so what are you up to? No, don't look at the camera. Look at the road.
What do you mean? I'm at a stop sign. Ah!
What are you doing? Where are you off to?
Going back to the gym right now, man. Got a nooner.
All right, you're heading back to the gym. You're out.
That's it.
You're out at CC's Pizza, hitting the buffet first.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, we chatted about last time we were on the phone, or excuse me, on a call. We talked about detoxing your system and about that's going to allow fat cells to be released from your system, and how the process of your body forces your fat cells to be retained because how toxic you are. And this is from air we breathe, water we drink, coffee. It doesn't mean like, oh man, you have the worst lifestyle ever you've ever led. You could eat clean and do all the things you want, just our environment's going to put toxins in our system. So now what this does, this allows when you do a detox, a complete cellular detox, it allows your body to release all those toxins and organ function to come back to 100%, for your body to feel the way it should, look the way it should, and react the way it should. Because some people have a lot of issues with, oh, I can't lose any weight, I'm not able to, I can't maintain diets, I can't, stay on exercise program. But when you are able to lose all of the toxins out of your system, it makes a huge difference. And I wanted to bring it up because I'm in the middle of doing 21-day one myself right now. So
I was at lunch. I was at lunch yesterday with a buddy of mine, and he's on a 21-day. So he didn't even eat at the restaurant. He just drank water, but he's on a 21-day cleanse as well. And he says he hasn't done it a couple of years, but he usually does it about once a year. Yeah.
That's key is, getting people to commit to once a year to go ahead and put all of the crap out of their system, get them going. And, it resets not only your taste buds, but it resets all the processes of your body, the way you digest, the way your skin reacts, the way your energy is, the way you sleep. I mean, all these things.
He said
it's always good to get, clean it out.
Yeah, he said that it's a noticeable difference in your hair, not just in how you feel in your gut and this and that, but in your hair and in your skin as well.
Huge difference, and it's amazing. What you see. And us being, on the CrossFit side and looking at performance training and stuff, the way you recover, the way you perform, the way you feel is tremendous. So, and I mean, even like going for your walk every day, or the way you're sleeping, or how well you wake up. I mean, all those things are huge to see that difference. So I'd touch base with them and tell them you want to tag along with them.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit, because I know if I were to Google it or all of a sudden walk down to a Walgreens, I'm sure there's all kinds of cleanses out there. When you're talking about a 21-day cleanse, because he said this wasn't cheap either. It was basically $100 a week, $300 total. He said.
Yeah, I think the one I have is $250 or something or other. But and again, it's the one I'm doing is through standard process, and you've got to. And forgive me, I was parked, but now I've got to drive, and I won't look at you, but even though you're a beautiful man. But the standard process cleanse, the expense comes in because there's a lot of whole food supplementation that is included with it. It's not just saying, okay, we got to drink a couple shakes and that's it, and you're done. There's something that's going to replenish each of your organs. There's going to be something that is going to cleanse your cells, not just, whenever we hear cleanse, it seems like it's just, a colon cleanse. That's not the case. But, this is something that allows us to have the nutrients we need, but it's also going to, because you're pretty limited on your diet as far as what you can eat, not how much you can eat, which is awesome. It's not one of these like, hey, you can't eat anything. Well, anybody can starve themselves. But like, all animal proteins out, all legumes, or not all legumes, but grains, dairy, sugar, that stuff's out.
Nuts.
So it allows all those addictions to subside, but then your body to recover from having so much exposure to them. So it makes a huge difference when you put into it. A lot of people are like, man, that's a lot of money, but you're like, well, what's your health worth? To do it. And 3 weeks seems like a long time, but you can't fix 45 years of bad with, a weekend of good. So
right.
It's something for people to focus like, hey, let me try that 21 day, because these 2 and 3 days, these 1 days, they're not saying they don't do anything, but they're not going to resolve things that are going to, that we're all trying to fix that's long term.
What are some pitfalls? What should people look out for if they start to go down, they're looking for this 21-day diet? I'm sure there's some things out there that look like it's the right thing, but it's not.
You need to get it through a licensed professional. I mean, that's a great thing I love about the company that does it is Standard Processes only sells through doctors. So you could probably go to a chiropractor, or depending on the general med you use. The problem I find with most general meds is their nutrition background isn't vast, so they are more on the prescription side of resolving things. And that's a whole nother conversation, but if you've got a pretty decent chiropractor in your area that you see, they're probably familiar with Standard Process, and because you have a physician's support and education behind this particular this cleanse and detox, that's really where I'd want people to go, not just go into, your Whole Foods and go, hey, what can I do to cleanse? I mean, you can Google a million things that you could do on your own, something pretty cheap, and, cinnamon and cayenne pepper and lemon and water and all these other fast and cleanses you can do. But it's till you reset your whole system and you're able to sweep everything out from a cellular level that you're going to see the results you're looking for.
How many days in are you right now?
2.
Okay. Now, are those first couple of days difficult? Like a lot of these diets and fasting, once you switch things up, those first few days can be difficult?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I was, because of opening a new gym, I was heavily drinking coffee, and that's something that's out. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell you I'm dying. I mean, I got a headache, but it's not one I can't deal with. But it's, I've done that, coming off the coffee and the caffeine before, and, it takes a little bit to get it done, but it's all for the greater good, right?
Do you put a few holes in the wall at work while your body's adjusting?
Yeah, you could say that, and it's bouncing off, but yeah, we stay pretty busy. So it's that's another. You talk about pitfalls. It's stay busy. Don't just sit and be reluctant to do your normal activities. Don't be reluctant to go after new things, because keeping your mind busy when you're doing something like this helps the success rate so much more, because your mind is not just thinking about what you're not able to do or what you have to do for so many more days or what you're not able to, eat or drink or what have you. It's not that. It's once you commit yourself to going, man, I want to change my life, change my health, and stay on that, then you're in the green for it. But really putting yourself in that position to stay busy is what I would encourage everybody to do once they start something like this.
You're right, because you can, especially if you get any kind of downtime, you're sitting there thinking about all the things you want to eat but can't, or want to drink but can't. So keep the mind busy. Thank you so much, Eric Stratman. Make sure you track him down on Facebook at TNL Nutrition Coaching, TNL Nutrition Coaching, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, take care.
Bye.
All right. Hey. Let's go over a couple things. And by the way, I've known Eric for many, many years. He used to have a couple of gyms here in the Bay Area before he and his family transplanted up north, went to New York, but very knowledgeable, very good at what he does. And if you're looking to, get some help on the I feel like I'm am I sexier today than I thought I was? Hold on, we got to button this thing up. I feel very, very unprofessional. Hold on. Grow a nice mustache while I'm at it. Just show off some chest hair and some mustache. And here's the logo I never used. Let's go back to there we go. There's the logo I never used. And the Wake.Show, the Wake.Show presents TNL Nutrition Coaching with Eric Stratman every single Wednesday. Maybe I should put the times on there. All right, that is that. Let's go over a couple things before we get out of here. In stuff you should know, or in the kind of the category of the news and stuff you should know. All right, we went through on this day. Sam's quote of the day, of course, the Wake.Pups. You guys are well aware of the Instagram, and make sure you follow our little ones. You know what else I was thinking? I need to talk to my wife about this. I want to get her thoughts on it, because this is our joint venture, the Wake.Pups on Instagram, and it's something I've wanted to do for so long. Was start an account for this is even before we got Joey, Roxy, just because they're adorable. I love them, and I know it's not for everybody, and sometimes it's annoying people like me, but that's all right. It's a big planet. It's a big universe. I think we can people that love to see pictures of dogs and people that don't can exist in the same place. And but anyway, so she finally got it up and running, and kudos to my wife for doing the sentence. Roxy, and then Joey in the background on Instagram. This is one of the pictures. So did you guys? I saw this headline right before we went on, and it has to do with Roseanne Barr and rating. Wow, this should keep Roseanne Barr laughing with glee. The return of her sitcom was #1 on Tuesday, far exceeding the usual victor, NCIS on CBS. So she got an 11.4. There was 18 million people. 18 million people watched Roseanne Barr come back. I would, if I wasn't working last night, I would have too. I would have been right. It's recorded. I'm going to watch it when I get home. I can't wait to see it. Second original episode, better numbers. Stay tuned for, So anyway, it absolutely destroyed the ratings last night. Her return back to television with the original cast there. And 18 million people watch that. That is huge. Can't wait. Have you guys see? We have Will and Grace has made a comeback too. I don't know if you guys were Will and Grace fans. I liked Will and Grace back in the day, and when I saw that it was coming back, just like with anything else, that was successful. That was good. You're like, they're going to screw it up. They're going to screw it up, and they haven't. Their timing is amazing. Great chemistry. And love do you call it a reboot or the continuation of? And I'm very excited about Roseanne Barr too. I'm not sure why, but I am. Are you guys interested in what happened last Friday? Because there's a story today in the Tampa Bay, TampaBay.com, Tampa Bay Times, about the Marco Parilla Jr., who, when they first announced, they thought he was getting the death penalty, and then the judge was like, no, you guys read this wrong. He's getting life. And there was a lot of emotion surrounding it. This is a guy who murdered a cop, and you would think that would be automatic, You'd think if you murdered a cop in cold blood, you would think it would just be automatic that you get death. That we're not going to allow that as a society. These people are out there putting their lives in line. But that's not the way the law is. That's not how it works. There has to be it has to reach a certain level of heinousness in order to, rise to the level of execution. Elliot makes a good point. Before I get back into this story here, Elliot makes a good point. Hey, Steven. Miss you, man. Miss the beach. Steven, I don't want to bore you with details there. Hope everything's well in St. Pete Beach, Steven. And so he goes, I'll probably watch 1 or 2 Roseannes, but there's too much good new stuff out there to go back to reboots. That is a great point. That is a really good point. It's just human nature, huh? It's easy. It makes more sense, or not makes more sense, but we have a tendency to gravitate towards things we are already familiar with, things we already know. That's why these reboots do so well. But I know they have to be good, Like I watched the first couple of episodes of Fuller House, when they, which is not quite the same, but a reboot of it within itself, and it was fun. I'm not going to waste time on it. I didn't watch all the episodes of, I wasn't the biggest fan of the original Full House either, but I could appreciate how they were trying to tap into and capture that old glory. I thought, they did a great job. And for those that loved Full House, I'm sure it's going to love Fuller House too. But it's just it was always a little too campy or a little too cheesy for me. It's like if you guys, I don't know if you guys are Walking Dead fans or not either, but Walking Dead, they spun off a show called Fear the Walking Dead. And so my wife and I watched the first season of that because we love Walking Dead, and we wanted to like this other show, but it just wasn't the same. And see this is what I don't think that I don't know this for certain, but I don't know that Hollywood and producers and directors appreciate the chemistry between a cast. I think they downplay that too much. And if they can just get so-and-so, and if they can just do this and have these kinds of effects, then they're fine. But I feel like if you don't have the chemistry with a cast, then it's just, things aren't believable. You can't get sucked into the story and whatever. So I was out after that first season. I tried. But now Walking Dead's got a little crossover situation going. So they're taking one of the characters from The Walking Dead, and he's getting ready to wander away from our show and into the Fear the Walking Dead universe. Well, they've got me. They've got me for one episode. I think that's coming up in a couple weeks. So they won. They won. Their little hook won. It's getting me. I'm going to go back to Fear the Walking Dead, and they get one episode. If it's compelling, then you've dragged me back into Fear the Walking Dead, but it is going to take a lot to get me back into that show. And like Elliot said, there's just too many new things out there. And not only that, but there's so many other interesting things out there. And I'm not in the same place I was when I was a kid. I don't know about you, but in my younger days, I don't mean a kid, but my younger days, like so many, every Monday through Friday, you had your 8:00 show, your 8:30 show, your 9:00 show, your late night shows. Like every night of the week, you're in front of the television. And that's just, I don't know, as I've gotten older, that is just not, I don't know. It feels like such a waste of time. I have to be very careful. I don't even watch the cartoons, as my wife calls them. My animated, show, the Simpsons and Family Guy and stuff. I don't even watch that stuff as much as I used to. South Park, even that, none of it. There's so many cool things happening in the world right now that if you're just following, and I don't want to say just following the issues, the times that we are in, the changes that are happening, whether it's in geopolitics or innovations, technology, medicine, to me, there's a lot of entertainment there to just watch how things are unfolding right now in the world. We are living in very interesting times. So, all right, enough of that kind of stuff. And enough. I don't want to talk about this guy, so we're just going to move on to a couple of other things before I get out of here. Planned Parenthood deleted tweets calling for Disney princess to have an abortion. Now, this wasn't their main Twitter account. This was, one of those, offices, side office, a Pennsylvania branch of Planned Parenthood says a tweet declaring the need for a Disney princess who had an abortion and more. So let me get to the tweet itself. Oh, where'd it go? Where did that damn thing go? Anyway, the tweet read, it's since been removed. We need a Disney princess who's had an abortion. We need a Disney princess who's pro-choice. We need a Disney princess who's an undocumented immigrant. We need a Disney princess who's actually a union worker. We need a Disney princess who's trans. So, well, there you go. And like I said, it wasn't from the main Planned Parenthood. It got taken down pretty quickly and deleted. I'm not sure what's happening to the person that put this out there. But Sam and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. She's like, hey, people don't want to see that. People are raising kids. They're like, hey, when I put on a Disney princess movie, it's because I want to go into a fairy tale land and not have to worry about the hot topics and issues of the day. And I said, I go, yeah, you're right. But at the same time, I can also see where this person is coming from, because the Disney princess brand is very powerful. And so if you wanted something to become more mainstream, a Disney princess with those characteristics surely would help, as I can see their thought. So if you just had what the So if you just had a Disney princess who was an undocumented immigrant, who was trans, what else? Also a union worker. I guess I don't get the union stuff as much because I'm in a right to work state in Florida, so unions aren't a big thing down here. I'm not saying I'm anti-union. I think that the right for Americans to collectively bargain is a fundamental and very important right. But just like everything else out there, as institutions get too big, things get too big, too powerful, and they start making decisions for the people at the top and not those who they're supposed to be helping. That's not the case for all unions. I'm just saying, I realize there's a union discussion to be had out there. I just not here in Florida. And let's see what else. And who's had an abortion. All right. I can't wait for that movie. I can't wait for one of the late night talk shows to get a hold of the story and watch them tonight, and they'll do a little 1 minute version of this movie. All right, what's next? Must be Florida. Okay, the NRA stuff. The Second Amendment, the gun control debate in America is getting a little bit more interesting, I think, just because. Even just a few months ago, I'm thinking, you guys can keep talking about the gun control you want. Nothing's changing. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. Well, then it seemed like Parkland is, I don't want to call it the straw that broke the camel back, because the straw was 17 dead people. So I think it's probably insensitive to call that the straw that broke the camel's back. But it is after Parkland that the movement to do something about guns in America and to change the gun culture here in America kicked into another gear. With that being said, we had Justice Stevens, as we talked about a little bit yesterday. This gentleman right here, he is no longer a justice, but he did come out and say that he feels like the only way to get something done in America is to repeal the Second Amendment, go after the Second Amendment. So now, of course, the NRA is fired back, metaphorically, so far. And do you see that? The repeal of the Second Amendment from a man who once took an oath to uphold, and this is coming from the NRA TV host Grant Stinchfield. He lashed out on Tuesday against calls by the retired Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens. He says, do you see that? The repeal of the Second Amendment from a man who once took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution now admits he wants it dismantled. In all due respect, sir, that is I don't want to say it's a disingenuous argument. It's just because the thing is that the Constitution, these are amendments that can be amended. He's not asking for us to ignore the Second Amendment. He is saying, hey, push and get this thing, amend the Second Amendment using the same rules and rules in the Constitution to do so. So he's not dismantling if he was calling for people just to ignore it and for the president to try to just strike it, yeah, then that's trying to dismantle it, and I understand why you're so angry. I still understand why you're angry, because this is such an important issue to you. It is, for a lot of people, their most important issue. Like for me, the First Amendment is a little bit more important. I like that we can say pretty much what we want to say. but we can't say everything we want to say. All right, our speech is regulated. So he goes on to say, I've long said the ultimate goal of the left is to completely repeal, is the complete repeal of the Second Amendment. This is proof, my friends. I would like this sentence better if he said, I have long said that the ultimate goal of some people, of some Americans, is the complete repeal of the Second Amendment. Yes, that is the goal of some people. What I don't like, and this is, you guys know this if you've been watching for a long time or following for a very long time, you know that I hate this right-wing, left-wing ruse. This, everybody's either one thing or another. Everybody's either a liberal or a Democrat. I mean, a liberal or a conservative. Everybody's either on the left or on the right. The reason that I think it's better for this conversation to just say there are those whose ultimate goal is to repeal the Second Amendment, because there's truth to that. But then when you try to lump them into a category, what you're doing, what we do in those moments, and by the way, I'm not being pointed towards this Grant Stinchfield guy. What we do in those moments is we are drawing lines so we can have an enemy. We're the good guy, they're the bad guy, and we're right there. We're ready to fight. We're ready to go to war. We're ready to kill, because you're not an American who has. And by the way, as an American, you can have an opinion. You can have an opinion that you want to repeal. You think it's time to repeal the Second Amendment. You can say it's time to repeal the First Amendment. All right, and go through the process. This is a wonderful democracy. All right, Republic. I know it's not a pure democracy. And so then you start working to make those happen. And if you're in that time of history where people are like, yeah, man, we got to do something about that freedom of speech, freedom of expression, that has just gotten way out of hand. We don't like it anymore. And we want more control over what people are trying to say or express. Then you make a push for it and see if you can repeal the First Amendment. All right. The same thing with the Second Amendment or the Third or the Fourth or any of them. But here's the thing. According to data, there's no way in hell that is happening anytime soon, because only, according to this article, 1 in 5 people see things the way Justice Stevens. So that's not 4 out of 5 people are like, no. We're leaving the Second Amendment the way it is. Now, he does go on to argue. I want to give you one of the why Justice Stevens sees it the way that he sees it. So Stevens' call to action, which came in a New York Times opinion piece, shows how the left is committed to tearing America apart at the seams, said the Stinchfield guy. Justice Stevens, all right, no, I want to. I'll give this guy his due. I'll give his argument a fair airing here before I get to Stevens. So, Justice Stevens, you may have been a Supreme Court justice, and I may just be a small voice of freedom, but you, sir, should be ashamed of yourself, the NRA host continued. Your words and your ultimate wish list is a disgrace to America and the values that we all hold dear. Stevens, who was appointed by Republican President Gerald Ford but grew to be one of the court's more liberal leaders, commended the work of the March of Our Lives for Our Lives organizers in his op-ed and encouraged them to seek more effective, more lasting reform through repeal of the Second Amendment. And let's see here. All right, that's what we'll do. As we continue down this discussion of the Second Amendment, you can just get a shot there of sleeping Yorkies. So Stevens wrote, according to the op-ed, concerned that a national standing army might pose a threat to the security of the separate states led to the adoption of that amendment, which provides that a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. He says, today, that concern is a relic of the 18th century. That simple but dramatic action would move Saturday's marchers closer to their objective than any other possible reform. It would eliminate the only legal rule that protects sellers of firearms in the United States, unlike every other market in the world. It would make our school children safer than they have been since 2008 and honor the memories of many, indeed far too many, victims of recent gun violence. The retired justice is somewhat of an expert on the Second Amendment, having considered its proper scope in the 2008 case of District Columbia versus Heller. And the reason that I'm continuing on this, and because he's laying out an argument for why it is why it's time to, look at the Second Amendment. Now, for those of you that's at the top of your list of defending, and if we even try to go down that path, I don't know what course of action you have planned, but again, this is about America. This is about the Constitution, and the Constitution is those are amendments that can be amended. We've amended the Constitution before. I'm not saying that we should do it now. But for guys like this guy from the NRA, he's trying to draw lines and make this. He's ready for his neck. He's ready for the Civil War. He's ready for it to go at again. And instead going, okay, well, it's not going to happen. 1 in 5 Americans think like this. 4 in 5 Americans support passionately. I don't know about passionately. They support the Second Amendment and those people's rights who feel those are the most important out of all the amendments. And for those of you that are a little bit more on the other side, just don't understand gun culture and why people are so into guns and whatnot, I don't either. I don't get it either. But I don't need to. Okay? This is America. And the Second Amendment is something that is part of the backbone of America, as is the First, as are all of them. And I guess the best way I've been able to figure it out for myself, and so I'm going to describe it to you this way, explain it to you this way. From certain perspectives, the Second Amendment is like the last line of defense if the government gets too big and comes after your freedoms, comes after more and more freedoms. So a lot of people feel like they need that, so they'll have their cache of weapons, and maybe neighbor, brother, uncle, cousin has them too. Maybe they're even out running. They were both in the military. I have a handful of buddies that were in the military, and they're off in the middle, the woods of Florida or Montana, and they're practicing, whatever military people do to practice. Now, to people like me, and if you're in other parts of the country, you're thinking that kind of stuff is insane. It's not insane. Yes, there's a degree of paranoia that goes along with that, but paranoia is very common all around the world and everybody. And we've had that paranoia has been there a long time. And then there's precedence as well, okay? When governments get too big, too powerful. Now, my argument against that, though, is that what the hell you think you're going to fight off? If really things came down to it and they start going, you really think in the end you're going to be able to stave off our military is too humongous, and the technology that they have, there's just no way that you can. You'd be peeing on a fire at that point. But my argument against that is this: it doesn't matter, because it makes people feel like they have control over their own security. And to a certain degree, they do. You got an intruder and you got your shotgun right there by your side, and it works out for you. Well, then good. Then there you go. It worked out for you. But for those people that are scratching their head and they just don't understand the gun culture here in America, that's only a part of it too. Those people who are, I'm not going to use the word paranoid now because it sounds like I'm being disparaging when I use that term. So I'm just going to say those who are concerned. Those are concerned about their freedoms. They're concerned that the government is slowly, year after year, election after election, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually will come for whatever those freedoms are. It feels like it feels like they have control over their own security. I know I already said that. But then there's the other gun culture too, where those people it's not about necessarily protecting themselves or putting together a militia like they're allowed to do in the First Amendment or Second Amendment. But it's just they love guns. They love collecting them, the history of them, all the different ways they're made, taking them out to a range and just firing them for sport. And this is I'm not even talking about the hunters that are out there too. So, but as far as the Second Amendment goes, let's go get back to Justice Stevens, or former Justice Stevens. Hold, please. Thank you for your patience. Damn it. It's annoying me. You know what? I'm taking that's just a sign that we've talked enough about it. And we'll move on there. Florida man. What is this one? Oh, this is kind of funny. And then, you saw that Corey Feldman has said that he got stabbed. Or got stabbed. And then he said it was retaliation. It was somebody, I don't know, somebody that once molested him or somebody from Hollywood or something like that. In retaliation for him coming out and speaking up against rampant molestation in Hollywood, I guess. And he's going to be okay. He's not going to die. But it was an attempted assassination attempt on Corey Feldman. We cannot lose that American icon. So this guy, I like this. Mystery grows. Mystery grows as man who owed $500,000 in child support disappears on a paddleboard. There's no mystery. What do you mean the mystery grows? There's no mystery. The guy owed $500,000 in child support. He didn't want to pay it, and so he was weighing out, do I run or do I kill somebody? Do I hire an assassin myself? And he chose, I'm going to run. It's just the visual of somebody making a getaway on a paddleboard. It's kind of hilarious. Not in a speedboat. Flooring it? No, on a paddleboard. Traveling 1 knot. Making his getaway. Well, he made his getaway. Constantine George Theoharis took off on his paddleboard into the Atlantic off Fort Lauderdale a week ago, police believe. Normally, this would not be remarkable. Given this guy's ease and familiarity to the water, his family says, however, on that day, March 20th, the licensed diver was due in court to speak on charges for not paying $500,000 in child support. The mystery deepens because nothing has turned up since. Not Theoharis, nor his body. Not the paddleboard. Not his fins, mask, or weight belt that a friend said are missing from his diving bag. But his wallet and passport were left behind. All right, well, maybe I'm wrong. He drowned. He left his passport behind, and as a wallet, he must have drowned. Or he left it behind to make people think he drowned. Maybe this is a mystery after all. He's a commercial real estate agent. Okay, so $500 million or $500,000 is not shit for this guy. Commercial real estate. Didn't show for his court date. A judge rescheduled his appearance for Tuesday, March 27th, but there's still no signs of this guy. And family members who have been searching for a week are increasingly concerned. He's very capable on a paddleboard, so it seems fishy to me. His younger brother said, as he fought back tears, he was under pressure. He owed $600,000, and he didn't have it. He was afraid the judge would throw him in jail. If he's scared, we hope he will contact us. Make a phone call. Just let somebody know you're safe so we can rest at night. I can't even get into the subject that what $500,000 in child support. I mean, I feel like you could raise a kid to 18 on $500,000. But I mean, so this is 10 years. He's been divorced since 2008. His ex-wife's been fighting him for child support for their 2 teenage children for the past 5 years. 5 years. Child support. So $100,000 a year in child support. Maybe I should have, no. I just don't. That's me. I'm from the other side of the tracks. So when I see stuff like that, it just seems ridiculous to me, and whatever. But I'm sure if I was in that world, if I had that kind of money, then $500,000 probably doesn't. $100,000 a year in child support probably seems like nothing. I just don't understand how. It's my own perspective. All right. So thank you so much for being a part of the Wake.Show today. This was episode 76. Hey, Sherry, Kurt, Bob, Sean. This was episode 76 today. And so I was just talking to Cords. If you don't mind me being professional and slouching. Here, this might help a little. So I can slouch better. I can be more comfortable in my slouching. Kurt. So this is episode 76 of the Wake.Show. Started this with Johnny Torres back in November. And he is going to be on Friday. Very excited about that. We'll be here Good Friday and have the entire show. Chris McCarty will be back from Hawaii. We'll have some music. Have a lot of fun. But I was talking to Cords because, in 25 episodes, we'll have our 100th episode. That's 5 weeks out. And so I was like, what do you think about I don't know, we used to call them listener appreciation party or something like that. So viewer participation party. And, I put up on the board, for those of you that have been here almost every single day, since the beginning from, Elliot to John Sweeney Jr. and Danny. I see you from Winter. Do I know? Did we go to school together? But anyway, those have been commenting and here almost every single day, doing something special for you. So what I was thinking is we'll do a show, not from this room that we usually, but go downstairs to the big psych room. And I know some of you have seen it before when we send Chris down there and whatnot. But yeah, do the show live there, have a performance, and then bring you guys in and treat you like VIPs, bring in some food. Then I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday at Ducky's right here on Kennedy, and so I was thinking, well, maybe I'll call my buddy Ray or some of the other people I know in the food industry and make sure it's catered. We'll get you guys food and drink and all that kind of stuff. Then I thought, well, hell, maybe we do it out somewhere. So I'm going to talk to Ray, and we'll start with him and see if he's interested in that too. So we would do the show live on location somewhere for our 100th show. Invite you guys out and and take care of you, treat you well, and for our appreciation that you've been here since the very beginning. So, all right, that's about it. Tomorrow, Chris McCarty will be back. He's back from Hawaii, and we'll get the stuff you should know on this day. Sam's quote of the day, and if all goes well, I'll bring back the littles, and we'll have a Yorkie party in here tomorrow. You guys about ready to go? You ready to go, Roxy? You want to go downstairs? All right. Have a great day, and I will see you guys tonight if you're downtown St. Pete at Park and Rec. We're doing karaoke from 8 until midnight every single Wednesday night. That's downtown St. Pete, Park and Rec. I will see you there.